Hello, good morning. Let's have a chat. Welcome to what is now February of 2024. I just wanted to take a quick look back at what this channel has accomplished over the past couple of years, because I've never done one of these retrospective videos before, and look at what I want to do moving forward. So I've got some really cool ideas for us. By the way, I'm like not dressed, if you can tell. I'm like in my pajamas, my hair is not done, no makeup. I've tried to make this video so many times now. I filmed it once with my husband like in the corner thinking like, ooh, he and I are gonna chat together, and where we were just chatting together and having a great old time and not really talking about anything in particular. And then I filmed it against this wall, and like, you can see like the shaft of light right there was right across my forehead. Kind of felt like I was being smoted by God on that one. And then I filmed it down here in the corner, and for whatever reason my audio wasn't on, which is why I'm so like fussy and like particular about this now. So as a result, I am now filming this directly on my phone, which I'm holding with my arm, not with my normal gimbal. So yeah, you may go up my nose at some point, and I'm sorry about that. So looking back all the way to the very beginning of this channel, I definitely started this to be a place where I could share some of the historical techniques that I was learning. It took me a few years to figure out how to do it. But anyway, we're here. That's kind of where I started, was doing these historical technique videos, which I think I only really did 2 of them. But I think what I've become known for is doing like historical, modern, vintage mashups. And that actually is really born out of necessity. Doing historical sewing takes a very long time. Doing things by hand, it just takes months and months, and that's a lot of footage to hold on to. So I kind of designed a project around the idea of making something where I could really keep track of the footage and the steps and everything. So I took a vintage pattern, which kind of reminded me of an 18th century men's shirt, and I used those historical ideas and kind of made something that was historical and vintage and modern and all of that. Turns out I really loved it. I loved it, I think, more than even just doing historical, like straightforward historical sewing, which is saying something because I really love doing straightforward historical sewing. But I think that doing that video and doing subsequent videos like it kind of helped me to figure out why it is that I like historical sewing so much, like what is so meaningful about some of these historical silhouettes for me. And so that's kind of what I focused on going forward. So let's see what I have done. Okay, so I think my first big project on this channel, like big project, was the Our Flag Means Death robe. Our Flag Means Death, R.I.P. I'm gonna miss that show so much. Something that I love besides just historicism and modern fashion is how historical clothing is used in film. A lot of people only really know historical fashion through film. And so the way that we use historical silhouettes and change historical silhouettes to tell a story is just so fascinating to me. So I took one of the, more iconic costumes from Our Flag Means Death, and I sort of mixed it with a 16th century robe. And I love the result, although the making of it and the editing of that video really tested my skills. I think that that is still, to this day, my longest running video, I think. Yeah, it was just a lot, but I loved it. And I actually really loved making the embroidered shirt to go along with it. There was something about figuring out the little motifs to kind of tie back into the show that I just really enjoyed. And then right after that, I did the Gucci video. I love the ex-creative director of Gucci, Alessandro's sort of vision for the house, where he was taking historicism and the Gucci house codes and kind of mixing them with his own personal like geeky brand of kitsch. I don't know, it's just so interesting, and so many people have tried to replicate it, but nobody's been able to. And so I really just kind of wanted to do like an artist study of him and try to figure out like how he's working, how he's thinking. So I took one of his collections and I just tried to make something but a little bit more historically explicit, a more historically explicit version of what he had done. That was a pretty huge video for me at the time. I'm not a big channel. I'm still not a big channel. And so I think it got like 1,700 views in one weekend, which for me, that was huge. And I was just kind of taken aback by how many people, like me, like the geekier side of fashion. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Then I did a few more of those types of videos as well. I did a study of Vivienne Westwood, who just, as a designer means a lot to me personally. She's one of the reasons that I got into fashion. And she has a much different approach to historicism. She kind of juxtaposes these deconstructed silhouettes where she just kind of hints at a historical silhouette with these very explicit, almost just recreations of historical clothing. And I've heard that she also worked directly with the School of Historical Dress, so it really shows. I don't know, I just love it. There's something so cool about that whole approach to me. So I made a set of stays in homage to her, and again, it tested a lot of my capabilities because I made all the fabric. I pieced together all of this lace to actually make the fabric to make the stays. And I think that that was what made the whole thing so time consuming because I did all of that by hand. It's fine. I loved the whole process. I love the resulting garment. I'll figure out a way to wear it someday. Another sort of artist study that I did that I didn't really label as such was the Goth project. Started out as an artist study of the designer Lee McQueen, who again is just an amazing artist and one of the reasons that I got into fashion to begin with. I just feel like his work is so profound, it was hard for me to really like scratch the surface, and so it sort of shifted into just a goth project in general, which was still pretty meaningful to me because I've always had this connection to goth culture, whether it's because I've been in art school for the majority of my life or because it just resonates with me personally. I don't know, I guess that's what I was really exploring with this project. There were definitely some ideas and some techniques that I really want to push forward some more. So those were some artist studies that I did, and in doing those, more than anything, I was really just kind of like studying and cataloging how those artists work, saving some of those ideas for later, which we'll get to in a moment. I also checked off quite a few bucket lists in the past year specifically. I made the Dorothea bodies, which to this day are probably the garment that I have made that I wear the most. They're just so easy to throw on by themselves or over a dress or over a shirt or anything really, and so wear those pretty frequently, and I definitely want to make some more of them. Also finally made my first Ren Fair look. Actually wearing something nice to Ren Fair was very new for me, so that was an experience. And then the V&A dress. So I didn't really talk about this, but I was in a pretty dark place at this time last year. My dog, who I loved, made a couple of appearances on this channel. She got sick and passed away very suddenly. It hurt. I was hurting for a while. And making things is really what brings me joy. That is what relieves my anxiety and my stress and all of that. It's really kind of a coping mechanism for me. And I was also taking on more classes at the university where I teach, which is great. I love teaching. I love working at the university. It's amazing. But at the same time, like, it really didn't leave me much time to make. It didn't leave me much time to film and do all the things that I love doing, and so just kind of in a rut. And I thought that I may need to kind of dramatically scale back or even hit pause on the channel just because it was hard. It was a hard time. I was also listening to a lot of friends. I'm very lucky to have a lot of friends who have very large YouTube followings in different genres. CosTube we're a unique little unicorn. We're a very unique space, and we're a lot different than most of what is out there on YouTube. And so I was hearing things like, your first 150 videos are really just throwaway videos. You won't even hit your stride until your 200th video. Which sure made me spit out my coffee. And things like, if you don't upload once a week, don't bother because the algorithm will never pick you up and you'll never become popular and da-da-da. And I was thinking like, oh gosh, is this something that I can really do right now? So I thought, okay, what is the one dress that I would want to make if I never made anything else ever again? And I thought, okay, this is either gonna bring me out of this rut or I'm going to make the swan song and that'll be it. And it's definitely the V&A Harlequin dress. This is a dress I've wanted to make ever since I was a little kid, but I kind of wrote it off like my skills are never gonna be there. It's the most complicated dress I've ever seen. But I did it. I made it very slowly. I didn't really care about when I uploaded. I think there was probably a couple months where I, didn't upload, but it's fine. It was fine. And I made it, and it was an amazing experience, and it reminded me why I do this. And it's not to go viral, and it's not to make a bunch of money, although I am monetized now after last year. It's actually V&A. Guys, I'm choking up now. It was the V&A dress that did it. It got me monetized, which again, like, I'm not doing this to make a bunch of money, but these projects are hard and sometimes they're quite expensive. And so like having just a little bit of compensation, at least like there's some budget for the next one. But more than that, like there was such an amazing reaction to it. And I was just like, yes, this is why I'm doing this. It's not to be viral. It's not to build up a huge audience, although I'm so grateful for every single subscriber and like and comment that I get and view. I'm so grateful for the community that we've built here, but that's why I'm doing it. I'm not after a plaque on my wall. This is why I do this. It's joy. It's because I love making. It's because I am a person who lets out my voice through making, and I need that in my life, and my life is better because of it. So we persist. Coming out of that, I took things slow. I made a couple of kind of one-off videos where I wasn't looking at another designer and the way that they work. I was really just trying to bring out my own voice and my own ideas about historicism. And they were the Renaissance chemise and the brown skirt with the 18th century pockets and the red pinafore. And wouldn't you know it, they have the highest number of views of anything on this channel. So I'm just so grateful that other people enjoyed those as much as I did. I had been planning the Bella Baxter study for quite a while. Basically, the second that trailer came out, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to make something from this. This is amazing. Again, like I just love the way that film uses historicism to tell a story. It's just so fascinating to me. And that is quite a story that is being told through clothing. I had planned it all out. I had started making everything. But I know a lot of people who were very personally affected by the Hollywood strikes, and so it just, I don't know, I just preferred to wait until all of that was over to release it. So it had to wait for later in the year, but it did eventually come out. That coat that I made for Bella Baxter was once again something where I was like, dude, I can't do that. That's just, it's too much tailoring. I haven't tailored since university. This is not gonna work. And it's not perfect, but it's a coat, it's a thing, and I made it. So I was really, really proud of that, and I really felt like it was a huge level up in terms of skill set for me, both in terms of editing and in terms of making the thing. So the Juicy video. The Juicy video was definitely a joke. It was supposed to be just kind of a quick little refresher project, just because I found a pattern that looked like Juicy in my collection, and I was like, haha, Y2K, conspicuous consumption, Italian Renaissance, conspicuous consumption, let's combine the two and make something ridiculous. Looking at my Dorothea bodies, like, what if I made these out of velour? And I did, and it's so cute, and I loved it, and I've worn it, and it was just amazing. Hotfix is something that I've had a very love-hate relationship with my entire design life. I used to work at a few brands that loved Hotfix, and it was just like, oh, is the look too boring? Throw some Hotfix on it, it'll be great. Turns out I love Hotfix. I love doing it. It was so much fun. There's just something therapeutic about placing every single one of those things. And now every time I see a video of someone doing hotfix, I'm just like, oh, I need to adjust my aesthetic to allow more of this. Who knows, maybe I'll figure it out. But anyway, I loved that video, regardless of whether it started out as a joke or not. It was one of my favorite things to make, and I had a lot of fun editing it. So yeah, love that. Okay, so the last thing was the sweater. I was so touched by the response to my machine knitting sweater video. You know, machine knitting is, not everyone's interested in it, not everyone's into knitting. I've never really talked about my background on this channel, but I do have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Fashion Design and Sustainability, and I focused on knitwear during that. And then I went back and got my Master's in Fine Arts in Fashion Design and Society, again, kind of focusing on knitwear. I always kind of did a little bit of everything, but I've always loved knitwear. And I think that there's this misunderstanding in the fashion industry that you're either pigeonholed as a technical person or you're a design person. You're either textiles or you're fashion. Never do any of those things meet. And that's absolutely not true. I'm a little bit of everything. I actually design a lot through the making of something. And I love making textiles and figuring out the yarns and the stitches and everything. But then I also like making something with them. You can be a little bit of everything. I don't think that I would be very happy if I just drew a sketch, went out and found a fabric for it and just made it. That's not who I am. Anyway, that just goes to say that I really enjoyed making that sweater and sharing that part of myself with you all, and I was very happy that you all seemed to enjoy watching it. And I also received a lot of really supportive feedback about the idea of making more knitwear videos. Ooh, this is a great time to start talking about how I see this channel going forward. So yes, knitwear videos. I know that this isn't going to really appeal to everyone. Not everyone has a knitting machine. Turns out a lot of you actually do have knitting machines, which is awesome. So I'm going to be making a few technical how to use the machine videos and a few knitwear patterning videos, which may actually appeal to more of you because you can definitely pattern things for hand knitting as well. I love hand knitting too, so maybe I'll make a couple of those. That will be peppered into the channel going forward. Also, the shoulder alteration video that I did like a year ago has the most views on my channel, so I've got a whole pile of alterations to do. So there will definitely be more alterations videos. But the biggest shift that I see happening on this channel is that I want to use this space to actually make a collection. I think if you ask any fashion student what they ultimately want to do in life, they will all tell you, if they're being honest, that they want to start a line or a collection or a brand, whatever. And I was no different. That's what I wanted when I was in school. However, after working in the fashion industry for quite a while, I worked in runway, I worked in ready-to-wear, I worked in textiles, did a little bit of everything. I can tell you that the fashion industry is very problematic. Not just in terms of sustainability, although it's very problematic in terms of sustainability, but also just in terms of exclusivity and who is able to be successful at starting a line and all of that. It's an incredibly exclusive, gate-kept community. I have revised my plans just a little bit. I'm gonna make a collection here in this space in an open and transparent way. I don't think that that's necessarily something that I'm gonna turn around and try to sell anywhere. I don't really know what it's for yet. It's just something I wanna do. I wanna take some of these ideas that we have learned over the past few years about historicism, about the way that other artists work, and I want to kind of distill that into the way I work, to tell my own story. I am very excited to bring you all along with me. What that's gonna look like to you all is probably pretty similar to what I've been doing. It's just that things will be a little bit more cohesive going forward. Projects will be a little bit less out of left field. Looking at you, Juicy. And then at the end of it, we should have a pretty cohesive collection to look back on. I feel like we've built a really cool community here, and I think that that's something pretty powerful. There's one thing that I've learned from looking at historical fashion, it's that fashion has a lot of power, and it's always had a lot of power to show identity, to show ideals, and to show ideas. And I think that we've lost a lot of that in modern fashion in exchange for cheap, frankly soulless clothes. And I'm really excited to kind of propose an alternative. Yeah, I think that we can have a really cool space here that is all about creativity and innovation and play and exploration. Take a breath, not worry about being productive, and just make something cool. If you enjoyed this video, I always appreciate a thumbs up, and definitely hit subscribe if you are someone who enjoys using historicism to explore your inner and outer worlds. That's pretty good, I just made that up on the fly. I will be back in a couple of weeks with either a design vlog or an alterations video. Haven't decided which, but it'll be fun no matter what. Until next time, bye.
Here's Ella. She's our little rescue pup. She's gonna make a good studio mate one day, but not yet. Not yet. 'Cause you peed in the corner while I was filming this video, didn't you? Didn't you? Oh. Someday.